So first of all, I think before we dive in, I'd just like you guys to introduce yourselves before I go through the presentation. Brian?
Brian Bush from Tennessee Cheesecake.
Hi, I'm Dwain Steele from Hampton Conservatories in Portrush.
I'm Noel from Taranto and Taranto.
Tell us a bit more about yourselves than that, lads. It's not blind date.
So I'm the warehouse coordinator for Tennessee Cheesecake. We've been doing lean for about a year and a half now. And yeah.
That's better. Dwain?
Yeah, so I'm the production manager at Hampton Conservatories. So we've been doing lean for about 6 years. We've had some real high points, some real low points. I'm sure you've all experienced that. So we're here to talk about Kanban. So we've done some good things, some bad things. So I'm going to share all the warts and everything we've done wrong so you don't make the same mistake. So,
Well, I've been there about 18 months. We've made a lot of progress and a lot of mistakes too. So I'm looking forward to sharing the journey.
So superb. How many people in the room believe they have a good idea about what Kanban's about? Okay, if there'd been lots of hands, I would have skipped this. That was why I asked. So we're going to quickly run through a brief overview of Kanban and the journey to one-piece flow. This was developed originally by Alison Roddy, but unfortunately she's not able to be here this afternoon. So what is Kanban? And this is why I put on my glasses for the first time during these last 2 days, because I need to be able to read this. So it's a visual system to manage work and inventory in a way that mirrors actual demand. And we're using visual signals, cards, bins, or lights to communicate when the work should be done or material should be replenished. Clear? Are you with us? Because this is just going to be a chat. It's a big chat. What does Kanban mean? I believe in Japanese, it's a sign is the literal meaning for Kanban. So it's a visual indicator showing information. We all think of it as cards, though, don't we? Even I do. Card is how I think of Kanban. And it's simplified, so yeah, it's telling us something needs to happen. And where it came from, it's my mate Taiichi. Did you reference my mustache reference from earlier? He's not far away, is he? And obviously, you know, we worship at the foot of. And the great thing here, I love this part about Toyota and the early part of their stories. It wasn't because they were geniuses. They just had massive challenges and they were solving their own problems. And that's where the whole Toyota production system comes from. But basically, they were trying to compete against the big Americans, the General Motors and the Fords, who had massive volumes that the Japanese didn't have. And so they had to be able to be flexible and use their equipment, really, their capital very effectively. And they didn't have the money to buy 10 press lines for 10 product lines. They had to be able to use 1 or 2 presses and do 10 products effectively on them. That's where the whole thing, for me, comes from. It was necessity. And inventories came along with that. So the Americans could afford to have a big cash pile tied up in that. For them, it was a survival bankruptcy issue. And that's where this whole thing comes from. So it's the birth of a revolution. And he created a visual system that produced only when it was needed. And that's the foundation of TPS. Really, when you think about it, it's a pull system. One of my favorites, not in the presentation, it's flow where you can, pull where you must. So Kanban's really just on the journey to single-piece flow. That's our ideal, but Kanban and pull is on our way there. So he was inspired by the supermarkets in America when he visited America. And that's really where this whole idea comes from. So he was watching how the American supermarkets were managing their inventory. Customers pulled from the shelves got empty, people stocked the shelves. You'd think I'd rehearsed this presentation. And so he sees that analogy. And I love that because, you know, you see something somewhere and you connect the dots to your place. And that's what he was doing here. So everybody else, and you know, this is still true. Like this was happening 1940s, 1950s. And instead of pushing products based on forecasts, like get that line. How many large organizations, here we are 70 years later, and the predominant way of operating is still the first sentence. So they do it differently. So instead of guessing what the customer wants, Kanban is doing it on actual demand. And this became their way for managing their whole, back to my earlier discussion about the Gemba. This isn't just within their four walls. The Gemba is managing the whole supply chain, the Kanban is managing the whole supply chain through simple visual signals. And I remember this, my very first job, when they were ordering sunroofs, we'd get the cards, and that's what we produced for the day. That's what was going on the lorry that afternoon by the cards we were getting from Toyota. So make what's needed when it's needed. And the benefits, I believe, are evident. We're not making stuff that people don't need. So inventory levels drop. Cash flow improves. We're synchronizing the factory to actual demand rather than schedules. And we're adjusting without creating excess inventory. So I don't think I need to sell Kanban to anybody in this room, do I? This is the push system. Make the forecast. And I've been in that world. A company like Alstom, at the time when I was working for, the £20 billion company. And that was their way of doing things. Just in case, massive stock obsolescence, both finished goods and materials received, like component stock. And just because we couldn't do things in single-piece flow, we just make a batch of everything. And that's what caused the massive obsolescence of stock and huge excess inventory. So that's what happened. And then again, you're hiding all your actual problems with big batch work. And when you go to pull system, or moving towards single-piece flow, when you're moving towards the actual consumption, your materials pull when it's needed, you're able to work with minimal inventory or move towards it as you develop, and you're eliminating overproduction, and yeah, we get good work. Good stuff happens. And this is in the technical waste discussion. Great graphic, by the way, I feel. Mood is the waste, we're losing the water. Unevenness is we're struggling with the water. And the overburden is... And there's where we finally get to one-piece flow in the presentation. So that's where we're going. We're on that journey. That from batch to moving towards one piece. What they were doing was bringing processes in-house to improve their flexibility, and then using Kanban, able to look at dropping their lead times, inventory levels. And for me, one of the biggest barriers when you're trying to get rid of your inventory, your work in progress, is it shows up all your inefficiencies. Like a question that was asked in one of the other breakout sessions, how do we hit the plateau, how do we improve? An easy one would be, let's half our WIP. Let's aim to half our work in progress. Oh, we can't do that because the machines won't do this, and we have too much scrap, and blah, blah, blah. This is a way to keep the bar moving and keep your improvement moving. And the great thing with Kanban is that they're an actual engagement tool with your people. The physical, holding the Kanban in your card and treating it like a baby with a broken wing, baby bird, excuse me. That's how we're doing this. And we have within their system customer Kanbans, internal Kanbans for production, internally and external Kanbans. They all look kind of similar. Most companies I've seen them, they're color-coded in some way. Customer Kanban, back to my sunroof and Toyota days. We receive a card from Toyota that tells us what to do. Internal Kanbans are when we've got internal components and now we've pulled, the bin's empty, now we need to make some more. External Kanbans, the stock's empty, we need to go and buy some from the supplier. And as we touched on, it's an engagement tool. Everybody can improve it. And the thing I love about that, compared to conventional ERP and MRP systems, which I deplore, frankly. And there's a great book I recommend anybody read. This is important. The Insanity Trap. look up that book, and it'll tell you why ERP, MRP cannot work. And there are so many really good reasons. And that's, if you're running that traditional ERP, MRP, we're all operating off all these reports. The stock's never right, the forecast always wrong, plagued with errors. The physical stock doesn't lie. It can't tell us lies, the reports can. And then as we develop confidence in the system, and we all get ownership, flow develops, and things improve. Simple to understand, powerful to master. And we reached the end of the presentation, yay! I was as surprised as you, by the way, by the last slide. So what we're doing now, because I really trust Alison's preparation, we're going to have a few pre-scripted questions to the panel, just a few. And then we're going to open it up to the floor, and the experts here are going to shine. All right, you guys. So let me just get the preloaded questions up. Here we go. I'm going to sit down now. Am I allowed to sit down? Thank you. So, I'm going to skip what I consider the boring questions. So we're not going to ask you what happened before Kanban, because the answer is, it was a mess, Tom. Yay.
Tom.
Yeah. No, we're skipping that one.
Yeah, can I just do a quick poll of the room? How many people have Kanban in their business at the minute? Okay, so about half.
Brilliant.
I'm a very visual person, so here's what you're paying for the people that don't have it. So pretend this is a sale, this chair. I'm an employee, I'm working away. I've run out of nails. Hey, I'm away from the station. You're paying for that. Look, the sale's empty, the customer's away. I'm away chatting to this man here. How'd you go on the weekend? Us in Northern Ireland, we all like a good chat. We like to gossip with, there, I'm away. Customer's not really paying for me on that chair. You're paying for it. So that is what you're paying. This is why you must do Kanban. This is taking away the burden. So that's a good visual of why you should do Kanban.
Can we have a round of applause for Dwain? And by the way, just to highlight, none of these people knew an hour ago we were doing this. I think they deserve a round of applause for that. Now, guys, you've all got Kanban mature in your organizations, so I think this is a great question. Did Kanban work the first time, or did you have to iterate and adjust it?
I'll go first.
We'll go from here.
Yeah, so initially when we launched Kanban, I was a non-believer, 100%. I'm like, why are we going back to a way of 1960s when we have this shiny new ERP? It gives us alerts in our system when our inventory is accurate. What are we doing with these physical cards? It's just another thing I'm going to have to keep up with. And we've been through 20 iterations of it, I guess, in a year and a half of doing it. And we started out, we watched Ryan's podcast and saw what Seating Matters was doing. So we started with a 2-bin Kanban system, and we started with the, low impact area. We did it with its consumables stuff. If we ran out of, it wasn't going to be super impactful. Like toilet paper or something like that. That's impactful, but we can run to the store and get more toilet paper if we do this. So we ended up doing 2-bin Kanban system, and it didn't really work for us because we were over-processing. We were taking out of a box, putting it into another box, and it just didn't really work. So we moved on to GembaDocs, which is great, and started printing off Kanban cards again. And started, poke-yoking, putting it back in the box, like 4 or 5 boxes back, putting it in a slot, and that really seemed to start working for us. And it's been through several iterations since then, and it's come out, and we do kind of a standardized Kanban system where the card is actually on the racking. And when you run out, it goes into a system, it goes into a file on the dock, and we purchase from there.
Dwain, what about you?
Yeah, very similar to Brian. So we went to Seating Matters in the Kanban system. It's the first thing we tried to get back. We were so energized. We were, right, we must do Kanban. Let's just run it, right? Danny, you're going to do Kanban today. Kanban? Oh, it's Kanban. Yeah, it's the thing Seating Matters does, and you get a 2-bin system, put a card, and it should work. Go ahead and do it. That's what we did. And we were doing many other lean things. We were just all over the place. So we left Danny to do Kanban, didn't train him. So Danny's away making thousands of Kanban cards, and he thought he was doing a great job. And we right, Danny, a month later, let's see the Kanban system. There were so many errors in the cards. But it wasn't Danny's fault because we didn't train him. And we didn't really know what the Kanban card looked like at Hampton's. We saw what works for seating matters, and it worked great for those. But what does the ID Kanban card look at Hampton's? What does the Kanban card look at your company, Brian and Noel? They're all different, I would say. So be very careful you don't fall into the pitfalls of just copying. Just say what works best for your company. That's one of the big learnings we took.
Mm-hmm. And don't worry, we're going to come back to the whole process of implementation with all its warts. So we're not skipping over that. That's the best part, I think, for the room. Noel, what about you?
Yeah, in fairness, we're still adjusting our Kanban system, and I suppose we started off using a load of assumptions. We didn't really have the proper data to create a Kanban card as regards lead times, volumes, quantities, all that. It was pretty much guesswork, but we had to start somewhere, knowing that, get us started, building the culture, and then just change as we go and learn as we go. So we're probably still adjusting as we get that more data in.
And so from a blank piece of paper, I'm going to walk it through as if I've got a small factory and I want to implement Kanban. What's the first thing I do? What's the first thing you guys did? Like the very first thing, did you get a big spreadsheet out? Did you decide we're going to do this area or that area? Where's my first step? Brian?
We just kind of kicked it into the fire. I mean, we learn by doing, right? Like Brian says, we kicked it out there, launched it, and then warts and all, we figured out how to make it work.
And did you try to do the whole thing all at once?
No, we started in a very small, specific area. So our consumables, low impact.
Right.
If we run out of the stuff, it is not going to shut down the line.
Yeah, I must say, like from all my own experience, that's the best way to go. Start in the non-critical area, build the culture, get people used to it, train on the non-critical, and then roll out.
Yeah, we wanted to make that a shiny area. You know, like Ryan says, we make this look really good, get this down, and then we will transition it to our bigger
Beautiful.
products.
Dwain, so you started off with poor old Danny, God bless him there. I know Danny, I've met him. And yeah, so apart from just like pointing Danny at it, was there any kind of focus area? Was starting purchase parts? Like, have any of you guys using it for internal production? Just as is it all purchase?
We have various cards. So we have purchase cards, we have internal Kanban cards, and then we have crumb trail cards. And crumb trail cards often get forgot about. I think when you're talking about Kanban, they're a vital part to the Kanban. So if you don't know what a crumb trail card is, the easiest way to explain it is you saw Henry. Hoovers have been mentioned a lot at this conference. So we've got Henry Hoover. There's a place for Henry. Henry lives here. Henry's attachments are here, and his bags are here. And vitally at the side, there's a crumb trail card. So anybody new coming into the company, this is the best way to learn them on Kanban. There's the crumb trail card. Okay, what's a crumb trail card? Read the card. It's to replenish the Hoover bags. So it tells you to go up to the store, what shelf they're on, and then you'll learn about the two-bin system, replenish, go back so you never run out of Hoover bags. To me, you must have all those systems in place to make the Kanban survive. If you don't, and you don't teach that back, it falls flat on its face. You saw the gentleman before talking, the Kanban cards were on the floor. That happened to us all the time. We had to use the morning meeting as a training tool to say, this Kanban card is as important as a customer is. As if it screws, nails, small items could hold up production. So it's vital.
Mm-hmm. And Noel, I know that you've done it in 3 different places. So, you're an experienced guy at doing this. Where do you start?
Well, I actually went the opposite way for this one. I actually saw a need to create a Kanban system in our precast shed because there was a bottleneck, there was lack of productivity, there was 5 similar situations that Dwain just showed there. We went in and the guys were constantly off their stations. We had a store guy who protects the stock, and there was a QA outside his office every day looking for stock, and I'm going, we need to fix this. So we just went and bit the bullet and went, that's what we're going to start a Kanban. So we started in probably the most critical area of the business, because then it had to work.
And I have seen other people doing that. Like, I visit Spare Metal pretty regularly, And I know that they have issues and they're looking at using their Kanban to fix those first. Things that they're running out of 2 or 3 times a month that they shouldn't, internal issues. So I think we're going to switch over not just for the people thinking about Kanban question now. I'd love to know, how do you know your system's working now that you've got it in place? How do you know, we'll start off with Dwain this
really
just for reorder.
Really simple is, are you sending anybody in a van to go and get something? That's how you know you're working. If you're having to send a driver out off the floor to go out, drive down to get something, your system's failing. We don't send the van out anymore. And how we track that, at the morning meeting, we have the van as one of the slides. It's a non-valued task. So we put the hours that we've, from January to now, so many hours we've been in the van. I think it's 56 hours the last time from last week. So we only sent the van out 56 hours for the year, but before Kanban it was hundreds of hours, maybe even thousands, who knows. But if you're not sending the van out, you know you're succeeding.
I love the simplicity of that now. And Noel?
The guys are at their stations an awful lot more. Your stock is dwindling down, because obviously when you start off with excess inventory. And then 2, you can see the Kanban systems being pulled, and the guys actually talking about it. So it's just going and seeing, is it actually being practically working for you? Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to switch heads from the normal nice Tom head that you all know and love, I hope, to the vicious financial controller head. Right, lads, we've got so much inventory. I spend an X hundred, in your case, I'm quite sure, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. In your case, I'm sure hundreds of thousands of pounds. In your case, maybe millions. How do I know that this Kanban thing's working and that's, that I need all that stock? What are you doing about that?
We need all the stock.
Yeah, go on.
Well, just like you were saying, Dwain, we had the opposite problem. We had too much inventory. How do we know when it was working? We reduced our inventory by half.
Woo! Happy FD.
Yep, absolutely. We reduced it by half. We reduced our warehouse staff by half after that, because we took up half the space in the warehouse. We had half the transactions going on coming in. We had so much safety stock so that we wouldn't run out, that Kanban really worked for us just in time. We knew exactly when to order. And that's how we know it's working.
Can we give a round of applause for that answer? Because that's what we're all after. Dwain, what about you?
Yeah.
I'm still evil FD. Yeah.
Pretty much the same as Brian there. Our store is now our canteen. So we have a nice, shiny canteen. And we were paying a man to sit there. He's been working to the company 35 years, and he's spent 34 years now sitting in that room just stocking up nails, glue, saws, you name it. And he was counting it every month, and he was just signing out by a book. So he's now in charge of logistics. We now have a nice, shiny canteen. And you could fit what he was doing. It's nearly into a closet, just in time. Just be careful on that. That's a pitfall, because we thought we had to run it down to, we'll use the last screw, and then the courier will bring it in at 1 o'clock. We thought that was the best way to go, because we fell into that trap. So don't fall into that. Just give yourself a wee bit of space, a wee bit of leverage. That's my tip on that.
Beautiful. And just to expand on that, I think, because we have so many customers on GembaDocs using Kanban, and I see so many issues with implementation, and people looking for formulas of how they work out the stock, the buffer stock they should hold, and the order quantities and all of that. And for me, it's because most of my customers are SMEs. It's what's the cost of running out? What's the cost of raising an order? Is there shipping costs involved for a low-value item that means that you need to adjust your system for that? And really, it's just about using your judgment for that initial setup. Somebody with a brain who knows the business well needs to be working all that out.
But also, Tom, it's very important to build that relationship with your suppliers. If you tell them that you're a lean company and this is what you need from them, and build that relationship, first of all, so they understand that your ordering system will change, your demands will change, and they'll agree to that. It's just so important that they're on board with what you're trying to do, because they're on board, they'll not let you down.
It's so true. Even just as I didn't intend it, I don't consider myself a Kanban guru at all, but we've implemented it at Lumen Electronics to great effect. And we used to, just to visualize this, we make these electrical cabinets as one of our products. It's got like 150 components in it. And I used to be the one juggling that, trying to keep it going. And we used to buy the stuff from about a dozen different suppliers just because it was the cheapest. And we consolidated it down as really 4 suppliers for everything now. And one supplier, the local here, this is actually to Electronics Excellence, if anybody knows them. They now just give us the kit to make that cabinet on Kanban. And we have a commitment with them, a purchase commitment, so we don't have to worry about the 16-week lead time thing. We're giving them, no matter what, we'll always buy 10 of them from you. And instead of having 20 purchase orders to raise, or 28, I think, in this specific example, that kit has a part number, and that's what gets ordered from the Kanban. And it's just saved us so much effort and waste and all the van time, and really dissatisfied customer as well. So I think we'll open up to the floor now. Hopefully there's some eager questions out there for our gurus here. Anybody gotta please give us some burning, painful questions, because they're the best.
In the back.
Russell at the back.
Yeah.
So it might be a nasty question, but it's well intended. How much trouble have you had with your quality not being strong enough to run your Kanban? Has quality screwed it at all at any point?
Brian, let's go for it.
I don't know the quality's affected it in any way. I mean, us being in the food industry, there's definitely a quality aspect. But we've, like Noel and Tom have said, working with your vendors is so critical to making Kanban work. All of our vendors, to be a vendor at Tennessee Cheesecake, you have to come visit, you have to come to our morning meeting, you have to see the culture, you have to fit in with the culture. And that way, when you're purchasing, when you do have those moments where you will hit a wall and you will run out of something because your Kanban system's failed, because you haven't tweaked it right, they are there to cover you. And that's critical.
And just to build on that, because you and I were exchanging on this, Will Wilson, who's the owner of Tennessee Cheesecake, isn't here because he's on a critical vendor visit that was really difficult to organize, and he prioritized that over this. So there's a real demonstration that collaboration and proper partnership with suppliers is totally key. And most of you guys are using it for supplied parts, I think is fair to say. Isn't that true? The emphasis of your system, just to come back to your question, Russell, it's, most of the stuff is not even designed to order. It's, you're buying catalog items, we can say, even if it's for production. Yeah? Any more to add to that?
It's based on the quality question, I suppose. Using the Kanban's a real good educational tool. Last week we were discussing a unit that was produced, and we were talking about the products that we used inside it, and then we learned that the products being bought and being used now differed slightly from our method statement that was produced so long ago. So that induced a conversation to go, well, why are we using this part? Is the method statement up to date? So there's lots to learn by using the Kanban as to what the part's there for, why is it used, and does it relate back to what the customer wants, what the customer's asked for. So really good to educate our guys.
Mm-hmm. On the quality side for us, the purchasing team, they get sucked into sales men on the phone coming in. I'll do you a special deal if you buy this type of screw, this type of glue. It's maybe not as good. They're maybe got a target. You need to reduce your costs for the year, and they think, yeah, I'll take that, put it into production, and it's maybe not. It's just not right. So the Kanban keeps that very, very strict. We only buy this product. That card can't be changed by a supplier. It has to be signed off. And that probably keeps the quality high, I would say.
And we absolutely had that same issue at Glymond Electronics before Kanban. So electronics, small parts, lots of plastics involved, and a lot of adhesives. And if anybody knows anything about plastics and adhesives, it's a real dodgy world. Like one hot glue stick is not the same as the next hot glue stick. And before Kanban's, random, I need more glue sticks. No, we have really specific, that's the only one, and it needs engineering sign-off if you need to change off it. And the other one that we had related to us was before Kanban, we would have been very loose with goods inwards inspection of any kind. We had no real discipline about that. And in GembaDocs, small plug, but worthy, you can put a QR code on the back of your Kanban with inspection instructions on it, so it can go straight to an SOP. So we had a little wire assembly we bought from China, and one of the wires was the wrong way around, and we just didn't spot it, and it didn't get picked up in testing. And then that's just carried over to anything that consider quality critical now has on the card an SOP for inspection. And it's really, really helped prevent a lot of that stuff biting us, especially on long lead time items as well. It's really painful. Thanks for the question, Russell. Brilliant. And yeah, with hindsight, I'd have loved you to be up here too. Any more questions?
Here, got one here.
Over here. Do you use the Kanban for pricing also, to keep up with pricing and to competitively price different items?
Yeah, let's put that to the team. You guys pick up that question. It was, do you use it for pricing and keeping up with competitiveness and so on?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it was a great learning for us. I know Justin, who's about here, Justin would be very good at that. So when we created our Kanbans, we based it on one supplier. But when we brought all the team members in, Justin was able to use that for phoning all the suppliers and go, what's your lead time, what's your quality, and what's your price? And are you able to work with our demands? And that's built up a good competitiveness between 2 or 3 local suppliers. So yeah, it's vital to have those conversations and to have more than one supplier for your parts, yeah.
Any comments, guys?
Yeah, I think the temptation is once you create the thousands of Kanban cards in your business and that supplier is on that card, and for whatever reason they become very expensive, you have to change that card. There's maybe multiple cards in behind that. That's a waste because you have to go and change all those cards out of your system. That's where a wee bit of electronic comes into it. So we just use barcodes. So if our supplier changes, we just change the barcode. We don't change the card. The card stays. We just replace it with a new barcode. So it's a good system too, because a lot of systems you have to manually put the card into the system into Sage. We just have 2 barcodes. Top one is the supplier. You scan the card. Bottom one is the product and the quantity. So basically, Tom could come into our facility tomorrow, see the GembaDoc, order the card, and it's sent to the email of the supplier. So within 3 or 4 clicks, it's done. There's no human error. You can't type in 100 nails and type in an extra 0, which has happened, and you end up with 10,000 or 1,000 nails. So it takes a poke-yoke the whole system.
We haven't got to the point of price comparison with our Kanban yet. So it's more used for purchasing to see the need and to organize our inventory flow, and then to also have a very visual representation of what has been on order for everyone to see and when it's coming in.
Mm-hmm. Does that help? Yes, any more questions? It's hard. The lights are so bright up here. It's really difficult to see.
Hello.
Hi. Well, who are you, by the way?
Aaron, Optimex. We talked a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, Aaron. Yeah, hi.
Hi. Well, first of all, I just want to recognize the fact that you guys put this together sort of off the cuff about 60 minutes ago, and I think you've delivered really good content so far. So hats off to you guys for that, first of all.
Thank you.
As a lean coach myself, you at Taranto, you uttered a few phrases that made the hair stick up on the back of my neck. So I'm just going to ask how you overcame those, like I did that sentence. A storeman of 35 years in Tandragee are little phrases that make me go, oof, this guy's going to be hard work. Have you any tips and tricks how you implement something like Kanban? Because it's a very hands-on, you're changing how people do business, and to do that with somebody in Tandragee who's been doing it his way for 35 years, I think tips and tricks of how you get the buy-in from those people would be helpful.
Yeah, good question, and you're right, that was a challenge. The store person we had in charge, his role was to protect the stock. He was the guardian. So it was a lot of education on changing his role to say what your role is and what my role is to serve the guys on the Gemba. is to make sure that our job is to make sure that those guys are at their workstation as much as possible, and we have to provide everything there for them. So while you're ordering the stock, what I want you to do is now be the guardian of the guy's productivity, and that's what your role is. So you're becoming a bit of a water spreader. So our job is to serve the guys on the Gemba. That didn't sink in straight away with a lot of people because, as you say, they've been doing it for so long. But once they saw the benefit of it and how they were freed up, because a lot of their frustration was guys coming 9 o'clock, half 9, 10 o'clock, so they were disrupted all the time in their role. So it made his life a lot easier by just filling up the Kanban station. But it was that education, you were here to serve the guys on the Gemba. We're not adding the value, those guys are, so we have to help them add the value as much as possible. So yeah, that was what I tried to put across to him.
And Aaron, that's a great question. I've actually visited your place, Noel, and you were telling me that story, and it was a pretty extreme example. It was like a little fortress that guy had,
yeah.
And nobody got in or out of it without his knowledge. And it was an extreme example, Aaron, of your question.
Yeah.
Yeah, back to Hampton's, very similar as Noel there. The guy was in it a long time. He was very integral to the business. If something happened to him, he knew all the stage codes, like the 10-digit numbers for a rubber, and it's like, my God, this guy's amazing. But if he get hit by a bus or he's off sick, who's going to order these parts? Nobody else could do it. That's the key thing about Kanban is, and the transition, that conversation of, right, we're going to Kanban, but I've did this for 30 years. This is my nest egg up here. But he was getting phone calls at the weekend. We've run out of this. What's the code? What's the sage? What's the password? So he's getting a bit frustrated. So he was quite easy to transition into the new role of logistics. He quite enjoyed, getting the hauliers into the business. So he was more customer related. So we had no real friction of transitioning him out of that role for 30 years into the new one, because it was taking the burden actually away from him.
I would give the advice I would give anybody launching a new lean implementation in their business is patience, grace, and curiosity. Right? Give yourself enough room to fail, because you're going to fail, and be curious about it when it happens, and go to your Gemba, find out what happened, why we made this mistake, and then just improve from there.
Yeah, definitely build on that. That was our Lumen Electronics experience as well. It's like we'd been practicing a form of 2-second lean for a couple of years before we tried to implement a Kanban system. And when you've got an improvement-based culture, you just don't have those problems. I go as far as to say that. You've built up, one of the big advantages of going with a lean culture is that there's a receptiveness for change that's there, that's not there, if you haven't done that work. That's why the tools don't really sustain without the culture. So that's my experience. Go for the culture first, and then the tools do come after that. Next question. Does that help, Aaron, by the way?
Hello.
Who are you?
My name's Dermot. I'm from Ansirk.
Thanks, Dermot.
I just want to know, have you ever seen what's the best way to transition between the ERP to the Kanban system for large businesses? Because our business will be controlled by a parent company who has the system in, and at the minute it's not working great. We're having to go out to shops. We're having to go out because things aren't being ordered in. It's more so how to maybe promote doing Kanban as a better alternative.
Brilliant question, Dermot. Thanks. I have an answer for that, but I'm going to ask these guys. Have you got any?
My first answer was just have a look at what you're going to the shop for, and that's where you start. And as Dwain says, then you stop going to the shop for that. And you can start in that small area where these are things that are causing me hassle, and then you just build from there. Change from one system to another holistically is very, very hard. So I would just start in one wee small area, show that it's working, demonstrate that it's working, let people feel the benefit of it, and then that's your buy-in there.
Any more? I have one, thank God. I have a wee bit of experience in that area. There's a company, I don't do consulting anymore, but there's a company that I really love, MPI in New York, and there was a couple of years way back that I used to visit them and help them with lean and strategy. And they're a GembaDocs customer, and they run on Epicor. So they're a $20 million business. They're not huge, very complicated. They're making wax investment molding machines, huge things. Think of a plastic injection molding machine, but no one's ever the same. Massive problem with inventory management in the ERP system, super cumbersome. All the stuff I was complaining about earlier, making stuff that's not needed, excess inventory, obsolete stock, working off the forecast, total disaster. And what they did was they just switched off the inventory management for lots of components and put them on Kanban. And so it's still rolled up in the cost for the product, but Epicor is no longer asking for those components or trying to manage them. And now they just run them on physical Kanban. And it was massive difference, night and day difference. And I'll speak for Brian Myers here as well, because very dear friend of mine, I visited Brian's place. He hates Epicor. Like, seriously, if I was an Epicor guy, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near Brian. And what he's doing is he's just chiseling out Epicor's control of internal production and inventory and just moving it off into Kanban. Because it's so much easier. And if you want to persuade your people about this issue, I'll really point you to that book. John McLaughlin, are you in the room, just out of interest? Maybe not, but John's like a pillar of the Northern Ireland Lean community, and he pointed me to that book, The Insanity Trap, and it really explains why it will never work. And that's what I would point, and it's like an easy read, hour and a half, 2 hours, and there's just a million reasons why it just doesn't work. When you book them in, an error. When the supplier books them in, and like when he gives you an error. When the forecast is wrong. When they pick from stock, there's an error. There's literally 10 places in a typical factory to have an error. And when you add up, if you were 99% at all of them, you're going to be wrong 30% of the time. It's not a complicated set of things to understand. And that's why I really am a huge fan of the physical Kanban. Does that help? And check out that book if that answer doesn't, because it really will help. Any more questions?
Yep. Cheers, buddy. Hi, guys. I'm a material supplier, purchaser, water spider for our company.
Who are you, by the way?
My name's Anthony from Sussex Campervans.
Great.
How often are you adjusting your Kanban sort of minimum quantities? Because I find that with the whole point of Kanban is it's a fluidity to kind of keep up with demand. With us, we're quite high complexity, low frequency. I'm finding that I'm adjusting the levels continuously, so the information's having to be changed quite often. Mm-hmm. We've got 4,500 stock lines or so, roughly, so it takes up quite a lot of time. How often are you guys having to do it? Because for me, one of the key sort of metrics that I'm trying to work out is my stock turnover of everything. Everything has how many times a year I can turn everything up.
Just for context, how many times are you turn an inventory now?
It's around about one time, roughly, a year, because where we're low frequency, sort of like high complexity, there are certain items that are low frequency depending on sort of customer order as such, because certain things are considered a special as such.
Uh-huh. And you're trying to manage them with Kanban?
Yeah.
Right.
There's a few sort of headaches that come with it, but trying to utilize as much information as possible and having it as up to date as possible.
I definitely have answers for this, but I'll pass it over to the team first, lads. What would you like to fill in there?
Touched on it there, Tom. The specials, I wouldn't be treating them as Kanban. You're just giving yourself a lot of work, a lot of background work to keep. That's a lot of work for yourself. I would be treating them as job specific. So when that goes in, the customer buys that upstream in sales, and then you can get it into your schedule. There's gates when things have to be ordered, so they're here in production. I would be treating that as a special. Try and keep Kanban to consumables. Order job-specific stuff is ordered for the job. That would be my take on that.
Any other feedback, guys?
Yeah, so it works the same way with us. We don't adjust our Kanbans very much at all. Now we will have scheduling come in, and if we do more than what we normally average for week, that throws up an alert, and it'll trigger our purchasing to order a little bit earlier than normal. But we're not adjusting the Kanbans once we got it set.
Noel, what about you?
Yeah, I think specials need to be treated differently. As regards how often you adjust them, a lot of products and businesses are seasonal and customer demand seasonal. So I think you probably have to give it a 12-month cycle to get your average to hit that sweet spot as you're not ordering too frequently and you're not carrying too much stock. So I would analyze it over a year, see where that sweet spot is, and then go from there.
Like, Russell, hopefully you'll nod your head, but I'd be looking at your old runners, repeaters, and strangers analogy. Russell, yeah, you good with that? Yeah, because your runners, if we define that, the things you regularly need, what we've probably been calling consumables collectively, Kanban all day long for that. And your repeaters are things that are coming up now and again, but you're going to use them, probably Kanban. No way for the strangers. You need to look at how you're planning your production and how you're managing the whole project and how you're managing the customer's expectations. And that's a whole science in itself. Because I'll give you an easy analogy. Take a BMW. Does anybody know about the BMW cars? And if you want to buy a 320 SE, or a M Sport was the minimum now apparently, and it has a bunch of options on it. If you try to buy those options -1 or +2, they're going to punish you for that. The price they're going to, and they filter the customer demand towards that standardization. And if you want to order, you know what, I'm going to have different wing mirror color than normal, just for fun. That's going to cost you about 1,500 quid, mate. Oh, no, I don't really want that. You can have this one. It's free, or it's 50 quid. So think that impacts your whole business model, how you do that. It's not just a Kanban question. That's our entire value chain, and how are we looking at that? Because if we have that non-standard, and by the way, I'm going to give another New York NPI quote for them. Highly specialized business. The market didn't want two machines the same. And there was a real resentment in the business for specials. And I told them, your customer wants the special, and you resenting it isn't going to make it any better. As long as you're getting compensated for the complexity, this is fine. Change your mindset. Embrace the complexity as long as you're getting properly, and I mean properly, compensated. And if you can't get that, funnel them towards the simple. So that's like, it's an inventory question, but it becomes a strategic sales question. And yeah, that's something like do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's a wider answer to the question you're asking, but these things are strategic. Any comments on what I'm saying there? Any more questions? Did that help, by the way? Thank you. Oh, please, I don't know about you guys. I'm having a whale of a time here. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, next question. I don't know what we're like for time.
About 10 minutes.
Oh, brilliant. Right, next question, please.
Hi Tom. This question is for Dwain. He said that he has the van at his morning meetings, to see how many hours the van went out for unnecessary, or it could have been unnecessary.
And I know who you are, but the audience does need to know.
Sorry, Padraig from AOC in Cork.
Brilliant.
So at the start, when you started, how many hours was it going out for, and how much has it reduced? And did you find that there was stuff that came up on those runs that you would never thought of Kanbaning before?
So I think what we're trying to say is, so how do we track that every week? So if the van is out, you have to fill in a book to say that you've been out X, Y, and Z, and what's the reason. We also, it's non-value, is what the customer's not willing to pay for. So we have 3 other measures on that slide, is broken glass, and we have postal, so stuff that's posted out. So anything that's TNT, DHL, is all up on the non-value slide. So it encourages all to get a non-value slide up, and Kanban is part of that. So if Kanban system's working if the van is not out, because you know, you have 10 guys standing there waiting for the part. You're not going to wait 2 days to have the part. You need to get somebody in the van to get it done. So I think, is that probably what you're trying to...
Does that help, Patrick?
Well, I'm just wondering, was there things that you thought you wouldn't have to Kanban, that you ended up having to Kanban because you were going back and forward for them?
Surprise Kanban items that you didn't think you'd need.
Surprise Kanban?
Is that fair, Patrick? Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Probably as a question then internally, is this something that's likely to come up again? So if it is, then there is worthwhile putting it into your Kanban store, but then do you have the room for it? Do you have, you know, there's a lot of labor in keeping that in. It has to be put into Sage, more training. So just finding that balance. If it's not happening, if it's just that one-off, you sort of have to use, you know, is this going to be coming up in the business this time next year? I would say if it is, then it's worthwhile putting into Kanban. But your Kanban should always be growing, I would say, too. Don't get set that, you know, if 500 Kanban cards and that's it, we're never going to add. There will be changes in the business. So, like, we're starting a new range of greenhouses. So we're going to create a full new Kanban store for that product. So that's going to be massive for us, our first standard product. So we'll take all our learnings from what we did in the first time and put it upstairs. And yeah, it will grow with the range.
Mm-hmm. Like, I have a lighter question triggered by that. Because you guys, Tennessee Cheesecake, make awesome content for GembaDocs. Never solicited, I really mean it. I'm so grateful that we have customers like you guys. But I remember you guys Kanban'd a microwave oven.
Oh, everything. Stream decks, microwave ovens. Our lean cave is completely Kanban'd, and you know, anyone can add to the Kanban system. Typically, it's our VSM stream managers that do that, and then we will audit it, and we'll make sure it's getting used. And if it's not getting used, you know, we're going to get rid of it.
One probably good
stream
point.
Kanban.
One probably good point is we've all probably used Kaizen foam, and the annoying thing is if something gets broken, you have to replace it. The proud as the purchaser know exactly what fits that foam. So if it's a tape measure or a chisel or whatever it is, it's cut out, and the chisel's maybe this size. The guy orders a new one, it's this size, you put it in the foam, it looks terrible, you have to replace the whole foam. I'm sure we've all experienced that. So the Kanban card helps identify the standard product. So we only buy the same tapes, we only buy the same hammers. So it sort of saves you a lot of waste.
Yeah. That's a total thing at Seton Matters, by the way. When I did my recent tour there. So you can't buy anything without it going through purchasing and checking. Like the Kanban is the standard. So you go like to a normal factory and there's like 20 different brushes over the years. And if you lose a brush, there's a different brush. And they use that as a massive part of standardization just for the simple stuff. But I'm going to go higher for a minute. When you start this whole process, it's like, it's a really good opportunity. We're going to go manufacturing only here for a minute. Because it doesn't, you can say it for consumable products as well. Like, are we going to have 4 different types of toilet roll, or are we just going to have one toilet roll? Are we going to have, there's an M8 screw self-tapper. Are we going to have an M10 as well? Are we going to... It's a real opportunity to ask the questions, because the best Kanban is no Kanban in some ways. The best stock location is no stock location. So it is an opportunity to think about that at the very beginning. You know, just like to really, really think about it. I'm sure you had it. Anybody got good experience with that? Do you guys do that at Tennessee Cheesecake?
Yeah, we definitely standardize because, you know, just an example, our lean cave. So we order one very specific type of magnet that we put on the walls, and it sticks very well. Well, if you order outside of that, you know, very standardized version, it may not be as strong, and it may not fit, and it may come off the wall easier, and it creates more waste. You have to bend down, pick it up, reorder the magnet. So yeah, it's definitely helped with that.
Cool. Any more? I think we've time for one or two more
We've got
questions.
one question. I'm going to take one more.
Thank you. Tom, this question is for you.
And tell the audience who you are.
So my
I
name
know
is,
you.
Adalbert. I'm coming from Dublin. We are working with blenders. So you mentioned a few minutes ago that there are customer internal and external custom Kanban systems. So my question for you is, when you are going to, or you decide to introduce a Kanban system into the organization, for example, in different departments, it doesn't matter, like a warehouse, a quality control department, a maintenance area, or even production area, is it possible to introduce the same Kanban system for all the departments, or do you need to use different Kanban system for each one? Do you understand my question?
Yeah, I understand the question.
Thank you.
I'll pass it on to the team. I have an answer for that, but do you guys want to take it?
So the different Kanban areas, we color code them. So we color code each zone in our warehouse, and that is how we keep track of it. Same system, color coded.
Yeah, I think that's a generic through any business. Kanban cards are all colored, so especially the internal Kanban cards. So if you're the guy that's running the Kanban store and you have all these cards, how do you know which areas to put them back out to? So when you divide your facility up, we have the red area, the green area, all the colors. So he's got a wee dolly then. He stocks up the cards, and then all the stations get replenished. He doesn't have to think where they come from. So color coding is the best way forward.
Colour coding, or at least as long as I have the location as to where you find that product, because it could be anybody putting that stock back. So as long as it has a location, but I think most people do use the colour codes, yeah.
And just from my own experience, yeah, same system. You might have peculiarities within a specific kind of industry that you need different information or more information or whatever, but try to use the same system where you can and then colour code them, would be my thinking. And Elizabeth, time general, any more time? One more, let's go.
I'm Andrew from Henry Holsters. My question is actual order placement frequency. Do you guys roll up Kanbans and order once a week, twice a week, or do Kanbans go straight through to purchasing and get ordered as individual items the second they get triggered?
Right, I have an answer. You guys first.
Yeah, great question. So it depends on the item, it depends on the vendor. So some we will roll up to very specific dates, and we'll order once a week to reduce the incoming freight. And then others will be directly ordered. It just depends on the SKU, and then it says on the Kanban when to do that.
So we're kind of uniquely placed there. So the guy that's actually doing our Kanban ordering is actually our scheduler. So when the card gets triggered, he knows the workload that's coming up because Kanban only takes maybe 2-3 hours a week, hours to put into it. So he knows for November, yeah, he's going to need more of these, so that needs to be ordered today. Or as Brian says, there's low frequency on that. That can wait till there's 2 or 3 cards from that one supplier, and then you save on the cost of the travel.
Noel?
Yeah, when we first did it, there was a occurrence where we were ordering nearly every day, so it was too much hassle. So we limited that down, but we also use a wee bit of judgment where if there's 2 or 3 products from the same supplier that just aren't ready, we would order them anyway because they're going to be pulled the next day, the day after. So we would have a look and see what else need ordered from the same supplier and try and just make it feasible for the supplier as well.
There is one pitfall in it, is if you have one supplier that's got 5 orders placed, he might hold back there's one late, he might hold the other 4 back. So you have to make that decision today. They must know your system that, yeah, once that's placed, we have 2 days, 1 day to get that to the business. So just be careful with that as well.
Yeah, we would have a similar system at Lumen Electronics. The supplier cards go in a supplier pack, and then the guy who's ordering it knows, like, we'll order that, depends on the supplier, minimize the shipping costs. The thing is, I just point out here is, like, don't be too casual about making orders. It's not just the shipping cost or whatever. There's a cost to raising 1 million orders for nothing. If you understand that really vague analogy. You know, back in my corporate life, we'd have considered the cost to raise an order being about $50. Because the order's got to be raised, there's an invoice, there's a delivery note, there's a good receiving, and all of that. And it's all buried in your overhead structure, but it's there. So I'd say not to treat it too casually. There's a cost there. And if you're ordering, like, you know, $5 things 10 times a month, that's not the cleverest system. So, yeah, but does that help, Andrew? Yes, thank you. We're done. Okay, well, look, I just want to give a massive round of applause for these guys.